Yeah. Hello world,
All right,
hello
thank you.
Africa, hello Nigeria. Good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever it is you're watching from. Sorry, I'm really flustered. So yeah, we are live, all right, and this is the second session. Okay, we have amazing Alexander Comfort in the building. The girl who stood up for mental health in Nigeria. If you're wondering who that is, here she is. She's the one. you know, I really wanted to talk a bit about that one. I wanted to like tell us how did you come about that name? If somebody tell you you're the first person when I heard, I was like, okay, so maybe I should call mine the boy who thought. So
I
I
don't know
need
what
to
you're
talk about
talking
that. Like,
about.
how did you come about that? All right, then you can have the floor. Thank you so much, and then we are going to looking forward to learn from you. Thank you.
Okay, I think I should just continue with the topic you gave me, the role of mental health in personal and professional success. Or should I go ahead? I want to talk about the
Yeah,
girl
yeah,
who stood
yeah,
up for
yeah.
mental health.
No, no, no. Like, I mean, just talk a bit about that before you start. Like, thank you. Yeah. Over to
Um,
you.
okay, so I think it's a story you would continue to hear for as long as you have me in your space, because even if I get to age 50 to age 65, age 70, to still be that name, the girl who stood up for mental health in Nigeria. So I think you should just hold your curiosity because you will be hearing it for a very long time. Permission to continue, sir. Okay, so while Mr. Steven is trying to sort his server, I'm believing I'm clear enough for everybody that's on the call. So good evening once again. It's evening in Nigeria, and so happy new month all over the world, right? So happy new month to you. Good evening, good day, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, wherever you be watching from. So my name is Alexander Comfort, as earlier introduced, and today I'll be looking at the role of mental health in personal and professional success. So I wish it was a class that I could see everybody's face. So I would simply say, oh, what do you think mental health is all about? What do you have about mental health? What have you heard? Basically, when you hear the word mental health, what comes to your mind? Is it madness, as some people would always say? So this is what we're going to be doing. The introductory part, I will simply run down on what mental health is all about, and then we'll look at the barriers to mental health and their impact on success. And lastly, we'll be looking at fostering mental health for success, and then I'll take questions if there are any. So now all of this plenty English that we used to speak about mental health, mental health, mental health, mental health, and then the physical experiences we have about the subject of discourse are those persons we see with tires on their neck, moving naked, eating dirt, Then maybe if someone is exhibiting some form of anger issues, like stabbing someone, stabbing themselves, and then you say, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're mentally okay?" and all of that. Now, all of those things comes to play when it's you trying to correct someone. But then if someone asks you what is this mental health, they ask me every time, they ask me, are you mentally okay? Tell me how I'm mentally okay or not. Now, so what is mental health? Mental health is the state of well-being. In fact, it's health. Mental health is health because we know malaria, we know typhoid. Some people can even treat themselves in their house, and all of that. But when you want to define what health is all about, you cannot remove mental health from the discourse. So mental health is the state of well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well. You rather say work productively and fruitfully, and contributes positively to your community. However, it is important to note that mental health is a complex continuum and it affects every individual differently. Yeah, it affects every individual differently. So what is perceived to be an excellent mental health for one might not be perceived to be an excellent mental health for Mr. Steven, right? So reason why you cannot, or we cannot generalize the characteristics or diagnosis of certain persons when we talk about mental health. For example, if an individual is having depression, right, and one of the symptoms of depression is change in sleep patterns. So it could be more sleep or less sleep. So if you call Chizoba, Chizoba is telling you that, oh, she's having insomnia, she cannot sleep, and all of that, she struggles to sleep. And then you call Ruth. Ruth is telling you, me, I sleep from morning till night. So both of them are having the same condition, depression. However, their symptoms are presented differently. That's what I'm trying to explain them. So now back to our definition of what mental health is all about. I highlighted 4 facts, or what you might want to call factors, in explaining what mental health is. The first, the first one I mentioned, that you have to be able to cope with the stresses of life, realize your own abilities. That's the second. Learn well and work well, and then most importantly, contribute to your community positively. It is an integral component of health and well-being, like I mentioned earlier. And then it underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. We cannot have all of the best heads, and then we have the worst environments, right? So if we have the best heads living in the environment, and you walk into the environment, it doesn't depict that they have best heads there, what will you say? You will only generalize issues, and some people here, they are not okay, you know. But then for you to say, oh, I have a stable my mental health is in a good form, you have to be able to cope with stress, learn well, work well, impact the community positively, and then realize your own abilities. Now, it is also important for me to note that mental health is not just the absence of a mental disorder. However, most people confuse abnormal behaviors for mental health. That will be discussed for another day. Now, mental health includes mental health conditions rather include mental disorders and psychosocial disabilities, right? As well as other mental states associated with significant distress, impairment in functioning, or risk of self-harm. And so all of this English that I've spoken, you would agree with me that sometimes some people would have situations that on a normal, they can be excused for certain behaviors. But then there's this other Christian somewhere, this Christian, I mean, the name of a person somewhere, that went through almost the same problem or circumstance or condition, and the person is not even behaving anywhere close to what the other person, how the other person is behaving, rather. So, determinants of mental health throughout our lives, social, structural, experiential, physical, environmental, biological, and all of that. All of these factors can actually, determine an individual's mental health. Now, individual psychological and biological factors such as emotional skills, substance use, and genetics can make people more vulnerable to mental health problems. So if someone that uses substances, whether legal or illegal, someone that have genetic traits of mental health conditions, and someone with very poor emotional skill have high tendencies of coming down with the mental health condition. Another determinant of mental health is exposure to unfavorable social, economic, geopolitical, and environmental circumstances. Now, someone asked me one of the days, is there anything like SAPA induced depression, something like that? I mean, financial induced depression and all of that. Now, yes, it's not a clinical name, but then there are certain things that are born out of triggers, certain names that might be born out of triggers, like if someone is saying financial pressures, right? So now we've mentioned that exposure to unfavorable social, economic, geopolitical, and environmental circumstances can lead an individual to developing or coming down with a mental health condition, right? Aside from being a mental health condition, it can determine your state of well-being. It can determine your state of well-being. Another determinant of mental health is risk. So risk can manifest themselves at all stages of life, but those that occur during developmental sensitive periods, especially early childhood. Now, there's a current record or statistic that shows that a lot of persons that are currently dealing with mental health conditions are persons that picked these behaviors, or they had traumas in their childhood, what they call adverse childhood experiences. So, because in their development stages, they see certain behaviors, they learn certain behaviors, they went through certain traumas, they saw certain things that weren't sitting so well with them. They saw mommy hit daddy's head, and they saw daddy hits their elder brother's head and all that. So, with time, it felt like it was a normal thing. And so you hear something like, in our family, we are very angry. In our family, don't they see us and play? We have anger issues, like, and all of that. So it now becomes like a badge of honor, which is not supposed to be. Okay, so let's run and continue. Back to our topic. I was just trying to throw an overview of what mental health is all about. Back to our topic of discuss the role of mental health in personal and professional success. So, defining professional development. When you say professional success, what do we mean? So, professional development or success involves continuous improvement in your skills, knowledge, and competency. Now, it's important that you note this, that when you say professional development or professional success, it involves your continuous improvement in your skills, your knowledge, and your competence. Mark the word continuous. That means it is progressive, right? And then improvement in your skill, in your knowledge, in your competence. And so, why do I need to improve in my skill, in my knowledge, and in my competence? Because I need to improve my performance as an employee, and then also improve my career prospects. So, you might not be an employee, but you are a career person. So, you actually need to develop yourself professionally to even get to that point. So how will you achieve this? All of the professional development and success that we are speaking plenty English. How will you achieve it? It includes ongoing learning, training, and growth opportunities within the workplace. I usually like citing this example. If I know Mr. Steven has a very big fish farm, and then if I start working there, he'll be paying me 70K a month, right? Now, I have the knowledge, but maybe I did not apply. But if I have the knowledge and then I apply, or personal relationship, I meet myself, oh, please, Mr. Steven, I want you to employ me in your farm. And I would love to learn how to feed the fish, how to tend for them so none of them would die, how to do the business of the, fish farming and all of that. That way, I'm going an extra mile to learn, to train myself, and then to explore the growth opportunities that revolve around that fish farming. But if I just have the knowledge of it and I don't do anything about it, then it's not going to yield any results. Now, what is the link between mental health, professional success, and personal success? The profound link, the most important link between mental well-being and professional development, and then your personal challenges, mental issues, and all, is that it impacts your state of well-being. Your mental health impacts your performance, your productivity, your job satisfaction. Now, you cannot clearly differentiate your personal life from your professional life. Reason we've been shouting work-life balance, and now we've really to work-life integration, because you are first an individual before your profession. And so you cannot clearly remove your person from your profession, or your profession from your person, right? So your mental health has to be in the most perfect state for you to be able to scale or navigate through both your personal life and your professional life. Mr. Steven, please confirm you can hear me. You can still hear me, rather. Okay, I wouldn't know if it's still, so probably I'll just continue. So how can our personal success be impacted by our mental health, or what is the importance of mental health in our personal success? One is an individual who has a stable, better, good, excellent mental health can build emotional resilience. Can build emotional resilience, yes. Personal success is often tied to one's ability to navigate life's challenges. So if you think things are a bed of roses, my dear brother or my dear sister, whoever told you that actually lied to you, because there's no There might be bed of roses somewhere, probably when you get to the end of where you're going to. But then there are certain life challenges that you need to navigate, particularly as it revolves your personality, your development, stages of development as human, and all of that. There are different life challenges you have to navigate. And so you have to be emotionally resilient to be able to pull that. Earlier this year, I was saying that a lot of persons currently abusing the word mental health. I don't want to generalize it, but most of the persons who abuse the word mental health actually lack resilience. Yes, they actually lack resilience because aside from perseverance being a fruit of the spirit, I'm sorry if you're not a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm sorry if you're not. So aside from it being a fruit of the spirit, it's actually a relevant skill or coping strategy in mental health. So the impact of mental health, your excellent mental health, good mental health state, is that it helps you build emotional resilience. So without emotional resilience, you cannot navigate through. And so how do you achieve success if all the time you feel like giving up? How do you manage stress if all the time you feel like giving up? So effectively, how do you manage stress effectively without being overwhelmed? How do you cope with life challenges or changes? Loss, applying for jobs, they're not calling you. Even if they call you, they'll tell you not put on tie, you should go back. Life transitions, divorce, mention them. How do you develop self-awareness to understand your strengths and weakness if you have a poor mental health? If you listen when I started introducing what mental health is all about, when I started the definitions and trying to explain all of that, I mentioned all of this, coping with life stresses, being able to realize your own ability, self-awareness. That's where self-awareness comes in. So you cannot say you have a stable mental health if you're not self-aware, you cannot cope with certain life changes, what we call life eventualities, and then manage normal stresses of life. Another way mental health, a stable mental health impacts personal success is it helps you build self-esteem and confidence. It helps you build self-esteem and confidence. So you want to ask this self-esteem is to hear every time self-esteem. Self-esteem is simply the way you see yourself, the way you view yourself. So a lot of persons build confidence from the validation of others. But then any day they stop validating you, do you realize the implication of that? Have you ever sat down and thought about it that, oh, any day they stop calling me fine girl or fine boy, will I start feeling like I'm ugly? So while the validations of others are excellent, good, encouraging, and all of that, we also need to be self-aware enough to validate ourselves and then build healthy self-esteem, not going about being arrogant and claiming to have a healthy self-esteem, right? There's one between having a healthy self-esteem and having high self-esteem and being arrogant. Now, another way that having a stable mental health can impact your personal success is it helps you build healthy relationships. It helps you build healthy relationships. Truth be told, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, ambivert, whatever vert you are, there are certain cadres you cannot get to in your personal life, your career life, your professional life without relationships. And when I talk about relationships, I don't mean um the one that trends now, boyfriend and girlfriend relationship or marriage, marital relationship. I mean relationship you curate between you as an individual and another individual and even a group of individuals, right? So you having a good mental health fosters the ability to form and maintain healthy interpersonal relationships. I've mentioned it before that currently, if you do not have good relationships, there are certain, you know, cadres you cannot climb, or what I call it ladders you cannot climb in your professional life and even in your personal success. Because these relationships are going to provide you social support, emotional security, and a sense of belonging. Yes, because oh no, these people they don't do me bad thing well. There's no need for me to. Every human being should just stay on his own. Every malam for Nketu just be speaking plenty English and all of that. But the truth remains that no matter how bad humans have done you, you still have to look for the good ones to scale through this life, because you need a sense of belonging You need support systems, what we call social support. You need emotional security. You need people to be able to tell you, oh, this thing you're going through, it's not only you, we are in this together. You also need people to validate your work. So you need to constantly build healthy relationships. Hear the word I said, healthy relationships, not unhealthy relationships. Now, another way good mental health can impact our personal success is it gives us the opportunity to gain satisfaction, what we call life satisfaction. Now, achieving personal success is often measured by the satisfaction one derives from life. And this mental health can significantly impact how individuals perceive their accomplishments and overall quality of life. Listen to this one. Mental health significantly impacts how individuals perceive their accomplishments and overall quality of life. It takes someone that has a stable mental health to actually know where to draw the line between rubbing off their accomplishments on the faces of their friends and then building on their accomplishments for future relevance and all of that, right? So while you are wallowing on your satisfaction, is wallowing the right word, while you're celebrating and all of that, you need to know where to draw the line, right? Not like you're trying to demean your accomplishment, but then there are other persons too that really need to be seen to keep celebrating you. You have to sustain a balanced perspective of your achievements, sustain a balanced perspective. Of course, you have to derive joy and fulfillment from your personal milestones, but then the point is sustain a balanced perspective about it. Now, the impact of mental health on professional success, all of those ones I've been saying are on personal success. The impact of mental health on professional success. An individual with an excellent mental health or good mental health state thrives in their professional development, professional spaces through productivity and performance. Someone that is having a disorder, let's say an anxiety disorder, depression, suicidal ideation, mention them, a lot of them, cannot focus on tasks without being distracted. So they're always calling in to tell you, oh, I'm sick, I cannot be present today, this came up, that came up, and all of that. And so there's this story I usually cite. You employed someone. While I'm talking, maybe some people could relate to it. You were employed in January, and then you were the talk of the company. You were very excellent. Your creativity was top notch. During brainstorming sections, you give one of the best talks. You always have something to bring to the table. And then 2 years is even far. 1 year, 6 months down the line, your creativity is dropping. You are no longer innovative. You cannot solve any problem. During brainstorming sessions, you are keeping quiet. Everybody's there, okay, they give you something to work on. There's a project on the table, and then you are expected to probably make designs for it. And so they say, oh, you should be submitting this thing by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Submit a part of the project by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. By 4 p.m. on Wednesday, that's when you're trying to start your part of the project. And by 4:30, 4:45, you're calling to say, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot meet up another. But this is the same you that when you were employed a year plus ago, you were doing amazing, like you were completing your tasks and picking other people's ones to complete. So you ask yourself a question: what happened? What changed? And in that case, because most employers don't even care about you, about your well-being, if you're okay or not, if anybody's beating you at home or not, or if you're in the best of mind and all, because they don't care about that. Very soon you'll be up for query, and then they might lay you off your job. So deliberately looking at your mental health has its own role it plays in your professional success. I've mentioned productivity and performance. Someone with a poor mental health state, in a poor mental health state rather, cannot focus on tasks. They cannot exhibit creativity. They cannot sustain motivation to complete long-term projects. They cannot. They cannot sustain motivation. That's it. And then another thing is some people might even be present in their job, but then they are not working. They are not fully functioning. So you're always showing up in the morning, but then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And you think your employer will be happy with you. The next way or the next role mental health plays on professional performance is decision making and problem solving. I've mentioned that a part of it where I was discussing the first one. Someone with a good mental health state can make better decisions. They can, solve problems. They might not be the sole solvers, but they can make contributions that will lead to the success of solving that problem. Now, mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, chronic stress can impair cognitive function, leading to difficulty in making sound decisions. Someone that is depressed have high tendencies of not making at least the best of decisions. Because I hear people when someone say, "Oh, they're having suicidal thoughts," and they're like, "Ah, you have all of these things. You are eating 3 square meals in this economy. You are doing this, you're doing that. You can travel to anywhere you want to travel to, and you're saying you want to die and all of that." Now, in most of these mental health conditions, your cognition is being impaired, so you cannot even make the best of decisions because in your head you just want to satisfy your current emotions or current feeling. Another way or another role mental health plays on professional success is in building workplace relationships. When I talked about personal success, I mentioned relationships. Now I'm talking about professional success. I'm also mentioning relationship. That's to tell you the extent to which relationship can actually go in seeing that you achieve success either as a professional or as an individual. Because without workplace relationship, rather, you cannot collaborate, you cannot exhibit team spirit. There will be no room for teamwork, and then you would really struggle with leadership. You would really struggle with leadership, even if you are the CEO or the founder of the company, because someone who someone who is struggling mentally cannot engage in positive interaction. So how do you even start the interaction that will lead to the relationship? They cannot engage in positive interaction with colleagues and supervisors. They cannot show empathy. They cannot be patient. They don't have strong communication skills, and they cannot manage workplace conflicts constructively. So they're either having problem with Emeka, or they're having with Neka, or tomorrow they're having with Stanley. Next tomorrow they're having with Judah. So everybody seems to be bad except them and all. Now, strong professional relationships are essential for career advancement, networking, and creating a supportive work environment. I cannot stop emphasizing on this. Building relationships is actually important. And so you need a stable mental health to be able to form one, to be able to form a relationship. Because if you are dealing with a mental health condition that the coping strategy you picked is smoking and drinking, for example, and then you want to form relationships, it is only natural for you to tilt towards other smokers and other drinkers. And maybe in the scale of intelligence, you are more intelligent than they are. But because your emotions need caregivers in the smoking and drinking industry, you keep tilting towards them, right? And somebody wants to say, this is our brother that we know. We know this brother very well now. This Mr. Peter that is doing very well. How come he's now following these bad friends and all? Someone with a very poor mental health, yes, has such tendencies to keep very bad and unhealthy relationship. Reason you need to pay attention to your mental health. Another role mental health plays on professional success is leadership and management. I mentioned along the line, I think, because of the discourse, that even though you're the CEO or a founder of a company, if you have a poor mental health state, we're in a poor mental health state rather, there are certain things you cannot achieve because you cannot even manage people that are working under you, not to talk of putting their well-being into cognizance or even making decisions yourself. So how do you inspire and motivate your team to work? How do you handle stress without allowing it to negatively affect your decision making? How do you handle your stress so it doesn't rub off on your employees or your other teammates? So you hear people who say their bosses transfers aggression to them. Now the boss might not be transferring aggression from the workplace. The boss picked the aggression from home and came from his house, transferred the aggression that the wife gave to him, to you, that is the security man. And then the security man transferred to the cleaner. The cleaner just be doing her village things. The boss came and met her, carry her own aggression with the wife's aggression, and came to meet the secretary. All of these things, of course, there are stresses, there are stressors in life and all, but you need to have a stable mental health to be able to manage them, to know, oh, when I'm going above the line, under the line, or on the line. Yeah. So, yeah. Another role mental health plays on professional success is work-life integration. Work-life integration. Now, it's not a sad thing that we now have remote systems of work and all of that. However, a lot of persons in the remote space cannot draw the line between work hours and their personal hours, right? So, because the system is always with you, the meal is always before you, your mailbox is always before you. So even when you're on leave, you say, oh, you're on leave for 2 weeks, and then the mail drops, you quickly want to attend to it, and all of that. But then it's important that we set boundaries between personal and professional life, where to draw the line. Yes, where to draw the line, because you don't need to take work home and then you try not to take home to work. I don't know if I can explain that deeper than I've already mentioned. So, for example, persons that their sleep are being affected because of work and all. Ideally, the bed space, like one of my friends would say, is for just two things: sleep, and for those that are married, sex. Sleep and sex. So when you take your system with bright lights to your bed, are you planning to what are you planning to do with the system and all? So all of those things has its own impact on you. Okay, moving forward, we'll be looking at the barriers to mental health and their impact on success. Barriers to mental health and their impact on success. One of the striking barriers and their impact on success is stigma. Stigma. We've been shouting mental health education, mental health literacy, mental health awareness, mental health here, mental health there, and all of that. Despite growing awareness, mental health issues still carry a significant stigma. In your church, there's a stigma about mental health. In your mosque, there's a stigma about mental health. In your place of work, there's a stigma about mental health. Even in the medical sector, there's a stigma about mental health. Among your colleagues, your peers on social media, mention them. There's written and unwritten stigmas about mental health. So yes, stigma is a barrier to mental health. And so if you are going through mental health conditions, you cannot speak up because of the stereotypes, the myths, the what would they say, what would they not say? How will I go and tell somebody that I'm depressed? Me that I'm Odogo, everybody knows me that I'm excellent and all of that. How will I do that? So you keep suffering and dying in silence. You keep suffering and dying in silence, and you're not able to speak up or even talk to someone about your current state. Another barrier to mental health and their impact on success is workplace stress. High levels of workplace stress, excessive workloads, long hours, and poor organizational culture can all contribute to deteriorating mental health. So all this one that we are shouting, and keep your professional life this way, keep your personal life this way, and all of that. If you're working in a place that is um For want of word, I would say highly stressful, highly stressful, having excessive workloads to deal with, both while you are at work and when you are not at work, you still have things to deal with. Long hours. Someone mentioned one of the days that these days we know when to resume work, but we don't know when to close. So usually someone is supposed to close by 4. On the appointment letter, you wrote 8 to 4. So the person will resume before 8 and then leave that place by 9 p.m., overstretching the ideal time they were supposed to cover for the day. Poor organizational culture and structure also impacts, an individual's mental health. Chronic stress can lead to burnout. We've been talking about burnout. Chronic stress can lead to burnout. What is burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that reduces job satisfaction, lowers performance, and increases turnover rates. I'll take that again. We said workplace stress can lead to burnout. And so, what is this burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, physical exhaustion that reduces job satisfaction. There are actually stages to burnout, but I won't be taking that today. Another barrier to mental health and their impact on success is lack of support system. Lack of support system. Inadequate support systems, both in personal life and the workplace, can exacerbate, can increase mental health challenges. Now, when we shout leverage on your support system, leverage on your network and all, sometimes people actually have persons that want to listen. Why on the other end, some people don't have who wants to listen. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's more of an individual. Some people have persons that want to listen, but they don't care to share, while others want to share, but they don't have who want to listen. So, it is important that you have support systems. Support systems are gotten through relationships. If you say, oh, my support system is my laptop and my phone and my pen and my book, no problem. But nobody should call you mad when they see you talking to your system. And then your system cannot advise you or share or give emotional support, because some persons might not necessarily need to advise, they just need to share one or two experiences that are in line with what you are currently dealing with. The next thing we are going to be looking at is fostering mental health for success. Fostering mental health for success. How do you foster your mental health? How do you improve your mental health? Number one is through self-care practices. Through self-care practices. Through self-care practices. I usually tell people when they say, oh, we didn't know he was depressed, and then he completed suicide. We didn't know he was depressed. How are we supposed to know? And all of that. And I say one way you can know that someone is actually having a mental health condition, I mean, a loved one, a family member, a close friend, is looking at their personal hygiene. It sounds very funny, but if if Mr. Steven likes pressing his clothes, I mean, down to his t-shirts, his round neck polos, and all of that, he likes, like, you can literally say this person is addicted to pressing clothes, for example. And then one of the days, he just picks up his clothes, even when there is power, wears it and walk away. Another day, he does the same thing. 1 week, 2 weeks, you now notice that this guy doesn't even care. Somebody that baits like 3 times a day normally now baits just one. In fact, that once you have to drag him and force him to go and bait. I go bath now. You never bath since morning and all of that. Those could be pointers that the person is actually going through a concern that needs to be checked. So sometimes when people are looking for big signals, it's not always the whole big signal thing. It's maybe in the little things. Example, personal hygiene that I just talked about. So self-care practices. Maintaining good mental health requires deliberate, intentional efforts and self-care. Individuals can enhance their mental health through regular physical activity, mindfulness and meditation, adequate sleep and a balanced diet. Talking about sleep, if you have the mindset that if you don't sleep for 7 hours, you'll be wealthy. Then if you sleep for if you sleep for 2 hours, you'll be wealthy. If you sleep for 7 hours, you'll be poor. You have to go to wherever you believe, let them cast deliverance on you, because that's a very wrong notion. Your sleep is important, and then eating good food is also important. The next way to improve your mental health is seeking professional support. Seeking professional support. This professional support could be therapy, going for therapy, opting for counseling. It's simply a vital step in addressing mental health challenges. Now, most of the persons will even stand up and say, "Oh, I need therapy." Sometimes they do not need therapy. They basically just need an external perspective that will bring clarity. So yes, if at that point of view, "Oh, I think I need an external perspective," it's not out of place to seek for professional help. Just that you won't call it therapy, you call it counseling, or you might want to say, "Oh, I need professional advice," depending on the area you are seeking for help from. Another way we can improve our mental health is utilizing workplace mental health programs. A lot of employers now and organizations now have the EAP programs, the employee assistance programs, but some persons don't use it. They would rather die in silence than even talk about it. But if your organization has workplace mental health programs, please do well to participate in it if need be, if you actually want to, you know. So if there's any work related pressure, it's actually your EAP, your assistant rather, your assistant that would write to the organization that, "Oh, this person needs a break, a leave, a travel leave, a school leave, whatever, to scale through this part of their life," and then to be understood. Then you writing all the time, you keep writing on mental health grounds, they might start thinking you're not a serious individual. But then when they have mental health programs that you could leverage on, then your professional should be able to write in for you to say, "Oh, this person has been diagnosed with this, and then is undergoing therapy, but needs to be out of work for 2 weeks, 1 month, and all of that," and to be quite understood, right? So please do well to utilize workplace mental health programs. Also opt for flexible work arrangements. Opt for flexible work arrangements, remote work, flexible hours. Some companies now do flexi hours in Port Harcourt. I think Port Harcourt is Nigeria, right? So some companies now do flexi hours. So you choose resuming by 8 and ending by 4, or resuming by 9 and ending by 5, or resuming by 10 and ending by 6. Those are flexi hours, flexible hours. Choose when to start and when to close. So you are not under pressure if you need to drop your kids off at school by 8 and then get to work by 9. Nobody's pressuring you if you have to do school runs and all of that. That for persons that are married, right? Also involved in mental health awareness training. There are different persons who, not persons really, but then because of the way we've been talking about including mental health into the workplace, incorporating all of those things. So now people bring in people to teach their staff members about what mental health is, what mental health is not about. So that way they can reduce stigma and then support help seeking behaviors. In conclusion, mental health is actually the basic, or what you might want to call the bedrock, of both personal and professional success. It impacts how individuals navigate challenges, build relationships, perform their jobs, pursue their goals, invest in their own well-being. All of these things are not out of place. And if you followed from the beginning of this class, you would understand part after part how mental health plays a role in our personal and professional success. And let me just talk a little about the sleep hours before I say thank you. So someone asked the question once that, "Oh, if I sleep 2 hours, I feel better, but if I sleep 7 hours or 6 hours, I wake up with headache and all of that." Now, the brain has a gland that produces certain hormones during night hours that is required for sleep and all of that. And I think the most popular one is melatonin, so the one that is responsible for fixing and rejuvenating hormone that helps us detox our brain after the whole day's activity and all. Aside from that, there are other hormones that have been produced by the pineal gland. The pineal gland is just that's a gland in the base of your brain that is responsible for producing these hormones. And now from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., these hormones are being produced when you sleep. And so if from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. you decide not to sleep and you start sleeping from 5 a.m. to wake up 5:30, I don't know which miracle you want to perform. I don't know which miracle you want, because I'm just giving you 2 weeks. Just give you 2 weeks. Your body will respond. That means physical health wise, you will deteriorate physically. Deteriorating physically doesn't mean you will lose weight. Not essentially because you lose weight, but then you start having different conditions. You hear, oh, I'm having migraine, or I'm having my eyes are swollen, different things, and sometimes you cannot concentrate. For example, let's use video. For example, if you go to a video Friday night, and then you have a wedding on Saturday, the video they refuse to close early, so you do not even close your eye, you do not bat a lid. Just carry yourself from the church, came back, brushed your teeth, showered, and went to the wedding. I wish we can talk so I would know what's your day, your actual wedding experience felt like. I miss this snapping picture and smiling. How many times you nod inside the church, and how many times you felt useless. And also sleep is very, very, very important. Having adequate sleep, eating good food. Oh, MJ, I won't say anything in addition to that. So, Mr. Steven, this viewpoint of mine, I really hope that whoever will be listening to this soon, or the ones that are already on the call, would be able to pick a thing or two on the role of mental health in physical and professional success. Thank you, and God bless all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Comfort. That has been amazing. I mean, I've been learning a whole lot. I have to start paying things that I'm like, okay, things to start implement and all of that. Okay, so I have a question, and uh, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I have a question, and maybe like okay, let me just say like two questions though. First, the question I want to ask is about people's perception about mental health. Like you said earlier, I resonate with that a lot because I deal with persons who have challenges with addiction, and I hear a lot of things. So I think I was on Facebook, and somebody made a comment about a post, and I think it was a case of somebody shouting at an employee. Right? I think she made a mistake in a transaction at the office place or something like that, and it caused them like 2.5 million naira loss of a deal. And then, according to the post, she was what's the word they used? I can't remember the exact words now, but more like she was scolded and a bit. That was what the guy said. That she was scolded a bit, and then she ran to the toilet, the restroom, and she cried. And after leaving the restroom, she resigned and went home. So people had different perspectives, and one of the comments I read said something like, that's how they will start lying and they will start calling everything mental health, mental health, mental health. People are so weak, they're not. So it got me curious because I'm like, excuse me. So are you saying that people are no longer this? Everybody has to be like, this stoic mentality. Everybody has to be strong, brazen hard. So my question is, at what point do we bridge the gap between being weak and having no strength, all right? Somebody who cannot withstand criticism, withstand pressure in life, in business. What's the line between that point and being, just over the board? So I hope you get the question.
Okay, so on that story you cited, now the thing is,
Okay.
people would not um, call the lady to have a podcast or on the comments come and share why she actually cried. Now, while I was talking, I mentioned that some people bring home to work and then some people take work to their houses. Do you understand?
Mm,
So
that's
the
right.
reason why she cried, I'm not justifying people being victims or not learning on their job. Of course, for you to say you have a good mental health, you have to be able to learn well and then work well. Are we together? Now,
Yeah, that's right.
sometimes, or in this particular case, if you go back to assess her, it might, the reason why she even cried might not even be related to the boss's reaction. It might be that
Mm, mm,
severally in other of our workplaces, she has had similar experiences. And so something in her head is saying that, oh, I have a problem. Do you understand? It might be that
yeah,
the boss is a replica of her dad at home. Are you getting it? There are
yeah,
different
that's
things
right.
that people can actually point out. Oh, this could be the reason why she did this or this or this or that. But we cannot say a yes or a no because we've not had the conversation we had. That was why I mentioned that mental health is more of an individual thing than a general thing. Do you understand? Because we now ask her
Mm,
that same reason why some people come for therapy and they're like, I'm depressed. And so you now ask, why do you think you're depressed? What's so they'll start citing story from here, they'll move that story to another story, add it to another story. Do you get my point? Because there are other things that could
yeah,
influence certain behaviors, right? However, like I mentioned resilience, emotional resilience, where I was talking about personal success. However, that doesn't completely rule out the place of emotional resilience, you know. So it's a case of understanding first before judging. Now, the people that keep talking about, oh, yeah, sharing
mm,
mental health every day, we cannot hear something. I usually say that we have a lot of information about mental health on digital space, but then less knowledge about mental health on digital space. So there's a lot of information. Everybody is talking about mental health. But then how far is the depth of the knowledge you're sharing about mental health? That's a question for anybody that cares to answer to actually answer. Now, why it looks like these Gen Zs are suffering the backlash more is because this generation is the generation that always search and ask questions. Now, mental health is not a 2023 illness or a 2024 illness. Mental health has been there for years. It's just that during COVID made it popular. COVID made it popular because during COVID, everybody was sitting down with their devil in their houses. Nobody ran away from because I kid you not, most people that are working 9 to 5 are not working 9 to 5 because that's what they love doing. They are running away from the toxicity at home. And that's why you have an excellent boss, but a devil at home, or an excellent husband and a devil outside. I don't know if you get my point. So COVID only brought all of us together and kept us with our devils. So we could not run away from our devils. So the regular, anyhow, I go manage you. Night go pass. In the morning, I carry my bag, go where I go. Now they say sit at home for how many months? So you're sitting with your devil for how many months? So it now became very pronounced. And so does it mean millennials and WW2 and baby boomers don't have mental health control? Not at all. Ask them. I've interfaced with a lot of them. They will tell you these things exist. It's just that it's not as loud as it is now compared to how it was before. There are persons who wrote thesis on the psychology of employees in 1996. I mean PhD thesis, 1996.
actually.
Compare
So it's not a
1996
new
to
thing. Mm.
2024. How many years? So most times in certain conversations like that, I usually don't bring myself into the picture because everybody have the, I call it, the license to think in whatever direction you want to think until you lose, until you, what I call it, you unveil, you unveil the marks on their faces, and then they start agreeing to it. Not like they've not experienced this thing. Some have refused to believe that it's a medical or a clinical condition. They won't always believe it's a spiritual problem. And then the same persons that are saying, oh, you are weak, you are this, you are that, most of them have terrible anger issues. That if they display yourself, even devil will run. I don't want to dwell on that. The second question.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that did a lot of justice to that part. Okay, so the second question
Okay, so before you
is
continue, the place where, sorry,
okay.
please, the place where you say drawing the line,
Okay.
each time we define any mental disorder or clinical condition, we actually, the word excessive and always is usually of utmost importance to us. Do you get it?
Mm, yeah,
Excessive and always. And that's why you cannot say you're depressed if your symptoms have not lasted up to 2 weeks. So all of these things, we have all of these things, they are marks to it. If a condition has 9 symptoms, you must present at least six. And that six must have lasted for the number of days or weeks that is marked for it. Are we getting it? Are we on the
yeah,
same
yeah.
page?
I get that.
So the line,
Yeah,
the
I get
thin
that.
line between being a normal behavior, being an abnormal behavior, or being a mental condition is that word excessive and always.
Mm, very good.
And then in the place of diagnosis comes in. Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I need to come and sit down with this. As you don't pour Rema everywhere. Make I begin the learn. Thank you for that. Okay, so I hope I've not forgotten my question. Okay. All right. So as regards that aspect where you talked about the programs, the for the employees and all of that. So how about because there are certain organizations, that don't see need for that department, or let me say that facet of their business. You just believe, just ginger the workers, they go to work. So what are you going to say to business owners, CEOs who have not created that avenue in the organizations?
Okay, so most of them, when you ask them, they'll say, oh, mental health is not a priority at the moment, but they have HMOs that take care of malaria, HIV. Even if you have cancer, they will take care of you. But they'll tell you mental health is not your priority at the moment. The reason is not because they're being wicked. The reason is because they've not been taught. Do you get my
Mm,
point? It's not them being
yeah.
wicked. It's just that they've not been taught. They don't know what they are losing, not caring for the mental well-being of their employees. They've not realized that the reason why they cannot retain talent is because they don't care about the mental well-being of their staff members. Because they've not
Mm,
sat down to calculate how much they spend to run an interview all over again and then employ someone else against the talent that was doing well.
just
They've
there
not
to be
asked,
managed. Yeah.
Chief, why did you leave us that is paying you 1 million and started working with someone that is paying you 10,000? It's not that they're, like I mentioned, it's not like they're being wicked. They've not been taught how not caring for the mental well-being of your staff is deteriorating your entire productivity. There's this slogan I used one of the days. Happy employees equals what product ambassadors. I don't know, but then just talking about if someone that is a happy employee, if I'm happy to be working with you, I will graciously be talking about your products. They hear the
Actually,
training for
that's like
advanced
unpaid
products. I don't know if you get it.
yeah,
So they are not being
yeah, I
wicked.
do.
They've not been taught. They've not taken cognizance of the importance. Because if they've been taught
Mm,
and they can relate with what is being taught, they would know that, oh, we need to step up our game. For example, there
mm,
was an organization we went for grief counseling for, and we went for grief counseling. And so you ask, Nigerians, what they do grief counseling? Someone died in the yard, the company yard, and then it is affecting every other person's work. But then everybody will move on. Of course, male dominated spheres, everybody move on. But the period we had that grief counseling, we knew how I saw men cry. When they say men know they cry, I saw men cry. So that particular position understood the place of, like, the impact of what just happened on other staff members. So please let's
mm.
continue, sir.
Okay, okay. That really makes a lot of sense because yeah, I have this mantra I like to teach as well. When we know better, we do better. You know, it's very, very key. So I believe that anybody who has an organization, I believe persons who are here too, some of them are employers of labor, or they have something they're doing, and they have people working for them or with them rather. And I believe they will go to put that into action. So thank you so much, Comfort. I am so glad and I'm
I think
indebted
there's
to
a
you.
question. There's a question from, I don't know if it's a Mr. or a
Okay.
Miss Fortune or
Oh,
so.
okay. Fortune is saying, okay, I didn't notice that. How do you deal with brain fogs, like a complete state of mental blackout, slow comprehension, zero motivation to work, the feeling of a full and blacked memory that is always reoccurrent? Did you get that, or should I read again?
I can see it on my screen. I've read like how many
Oh,
times before I reminded you. Okay, so
oh,
on
okay.
dealing with brain fogs, there are different things that could actually lead to it. So, but concerning these other areas you highlighted, the first thing I'll ask you to do is to rejuvenate, what Christians want to call go on retreats. So you get energy or something. So you have to take a time out, and then you and yourself have a tete-a-tete with yourself and your brain. Let's know where the blackout is coming from. See, because you are no longer reading materials that you used to read before that could inspire you, add to your knowledge. Is it because you are exhausted mentally? Is it because you've given out everything you have in your creative space? Your zero motivation to work. What was your first motivation? Why did you start the work in the first place? Was it the money? Was it the coffee they used to share in the afternoon? Did you used to use bus to carry you to your house? What was your first love about the job? So all of these questions you have to sit and have a conversation with your brain. Why am I blacking out? Is it poor sleep? Is it that I'm not eating morning noodles, afternoon tea, evening sogary? Is it that I'm not eating well? So have this conversation with your brain and then think of how to have a retreat, not the retreat church only. After the thinking, you re-strategize, then you take a break. You take a break to break. Is it that you speak English? Is it to refire before you expire? All I'm trying to say is take a break and get back your energy. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay, okay.
Please, the person that
Thank
asked the
you.
question should confirm that made sense.
Okay, Fortune, if you can hear us, please kindly type in the comments if that does justice to the question. Does it answer your question? Fortune, I am. Please let us know if that's answers your question. While we're waiting for his comments, all right. I hope he's still on the call. While we're waiting for that, let me quickly say it again, like I was saying. Thank you so much. Okay, obviously he did. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad you did. All right. And you can also follow up. Please, everybody should do that. The link is going to be in the comments shortly. Please follow. It's already in the description anyway. Just tap the description of this video. We already added the link to our Linktree page and to our Facebook. So you connect with her. She's doing amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. All she just shared is just basics. If we give her the permission and all of that, she's going to scatter this place. Okay. But she has gracefully given us the privilege, so to say. All right. So have our audience here, and we don't take it for granted. Thank you so much, Comfort. God bless you. I also believe strongly that persons are going to come across this video in the next few days, weeks, months, years are going to always send their blessings to you as well. All right. So also, don't keep her waiting anymore. In the absence of further questions, we'll call it a wrap. We're supposed to finish about 9 minutes, sorry, 10 minutes earlier. But the answering of the questions, has kept us here. So the next session is tomorrow, 7 p.m., guys. We're going to have in productivity god come around, talk about how to be productive, all right? And this whole session has been streamlined so that you can take a step to the next, to the next, and to the next. So if you check the timeline of speakers and their topics, everything is synchronized. So tonight's session is a very good background to what you could be learning tomorrow, and I believe you guys are going to be here. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you so much, Comfort, once again. God bless you. And we'll call it a wrap tonight.
That's
Thank
it
you so much,
yourself.
guys. And make sure yeah, thank you very much. Make sure you come with your friends tomorrow, and we're going to have a very, very beautiful time. Okay. Good night. Thank you so much, Comfort.
Thank you. Good night.